Welcome everybody. Welcome back to everybody is here is live on the booth from the tour that you've just been doing, discovering the circular manufacturing campus that we have on show. And also a very warm welcome to everybody who's joining us from the live stream to our Hannover Messe 2025 press conference of Schneider Electric and Aveva. I am joined today by Barbara Frei, our EVP for Industrial Automation and member of the Schneider Electric Executive Committee, by Caspar Herzberg, CEO of Aveva and also a member of the Schneider Electric Executive Committee, and also with great pleasure, our CEO, Olivier Blum. I wanted to start briefly with giving a quick framing. You're here at Hannover Messe and obviously joining us live. And our theme for this year is shaping industries by connecting ecosystems. And what we're showcasing is how through combining technologies across open software-defined automation, energy management and electrification, data and digital technologies, we can help companies across their value chains drive greater productivity, resilience, competitiveness, and also sustainability. And we will now be going into the part where we will be exploring scenarios. But before doing that, I want to pass the word to Olivier Blum.
Thank you, Richela, and welcome again to all of you. Thank you for spending time with Schneider. We appreciate your interest in Schneider Electric. I will just kick off this session by telling you how we see the world today at Schneider Electric and why we continue to be optimists. There are plenty of reasons, to see the dark side of the world, to be concerned by what's happening, and of course the geopolitics are creating a lot of fragmentation in the world, and that's of course a concern for a company like Schneider Electric. But at the same time, when we stand back and we look at our industry, it's a super exciting time. Number one, the energy transition is on top of the agenda of every single government in the world, every organization in the world. And I used to say to the people, whether your interest on energy transition is because of security, cost efficiency or sustainability, that's your choice. But at the end of the day, there is not one single government or organization which is not looking at energy transition. The second very good news for a company like Schneider Electric, I've been involved in this industry for 32 years. We know that electrification was coming. We know that electrification will be becoming more and more important. But we know that the traditional technology in electrification will never be good enough to create and generate the efficiency we need to generate in our industry. And we knew that digital, amplified now by AI, is really a game changer on top of electrification. So for us, that's the second good news. The third good news, which is very, very important, in this world, you see a lot of infrastructure being built everywhere in the world, and we have a responsibility to make sure we build those infrastructure for tomorrow and we make them even more and more efficient. So when we combine all those trends, what is the mission of a company like Schneider Electric? We want to be a technology leader. What does it mean to be a technology leader? We believe we have this unique positioning to combine basically electrification, automation, and digitalization to generate the efficiency for our customer. We can do it in home, we can do it in building, we can do it in data center, we can do it in infrastructure, and of course we can do it in industry. And that's our obsession at the end of the day, and I'm super happy to be together with Caspar and Barbara. And it's a very interesting situation because, as you said, Caspar is leading our software business, Barbara is leading our industrial automation business, and the combination of the strengths of those two businesses is what it makes it possible for industry to be more efficient in the world of tomorrow. So in short, we are optimistic because we believe we are at a turning point where electrification, automation, and digitalization are converging. And our obsession at Schneider is definitely to invent the technology of the future that will make it happen. And now we are going to enter a little bit more in the details on how we will make it happen.
Thank you very much, Olivier. And indeed, what we're going to do is we're going to look at 3 scenarios that we see across multiple customer segments, across geographies, and they're really also looking at how some of those shifts in consumer demand, in technology shift, AI is obviously one of those words, but also changing economic landscapes and a shift towards sustainability is influencing opportunities and challenges. We'll start with the first scenario, and here we were going to be looking into the topic around consumer demands and how that reflects on innovation. And in staying with the food and beverage topic that we have as a theme here, let me give you a few pieces of information. So if we look at food and beverage, in fact, Germany is the leading food retail market in Europe, and it's also a leading global exporter of food products. Now, in a global perspective, the food industry, food and beverage industry, is actually set to achieve $9.7 trillion in 2025. And out of that, the dairy business is around 12.8% share. Now, in dairy, there's actually a lot of consumer shifting happening present. There's a shift towards milk dairy alternatives. So again, to give you 2 data points, interestingly, the oat milk market is growing at 11% CAGR between now and 2033. And if we look at some superfoods, which are, for instance, fermented dairy products, kefir is growing at nearly 7% between now and 2027, and is going to reach, just kefir, 2.5 billion nearly in 2027. So this is quite massive. Barbara, looking at this, if we look at through the lens of a dairy producer, we look at through the lens of companies who are trying to face those challenges and opportunities of diversified consumer demand, what can they do?
So yeah, maybe you will also talk from your own experience. You go to a grocery store and then you look at the yogurts, vegan, lactose-free, with sugar, without natural sugar, and it's a quite fast pace on what these products are coming to the market. And what does this mean in practice for the producer? They need to change the production line on a regular basis. Now, changing the hardware usually is not a big thing, but then you spend a lot of time just working on adopting the automation. Why? The automation is at the core of the process in such a plant. And it's also the area where you create the data for further efficiency and productivity gains. And usually, they lose a lot of time re-engineering the whole setup. Here comes in open software-defined automation. Why is this a big advantage? On one hand, you can substantially reduce the engineering efforts because it's asset-oriented and not according to the devices you are using. And on the other side, it really allows a seamless connection of the data up to the layer where you can make then the analytics and drive efficiency and productivity. Now, you can see here on the booth the oat milk example that we do together with the university. So where really the oat milk quality is constantly optimized based on data combined with artificial intelligence. And for this, you need open software-defined automation. Otherwise, you don't get the data at the right time. And maybe I let Caspar quickly comment on data, which is really crucial.
Sure. So when you look about what you want to achieve, it is really about predictability of your supply and of your demand, right? So that means real-time automation is not enough anymore. What you want is ecosystem-wide visibility into data. And that is as much a technical topic, for which today the software-defined automation, the capabilities exist, but is also a mind shift change towards allowing visibility in your supply chain and to your supply chain partners of the data you have. So it's really about breaking down the data silos that everyone has. And doing that is going to make us successful. And those that adopted the earliest are the ones that are going to outperform everyone else.
Agree. Nevertheless, we see a lot of customers struggling with this process, really get the data clean. You need a lot of capabilities. You need IT skills. You need domain know-how, you need the technical skills, and that's exactly also the area where you can attract young talents. So nowadays we see a lot of food providers, they are now able to attract young talents because they go into this domain, start the analytics, and have the people which have an interesting job. So one example I would like to mention here is Hochwald. Hochwald is one of the largest dairy producers in Europe. They built a new plant which is producing 800 million liters of milk every year. And here, together with ProLight and also with Aveva's system platform, we were able to make an end-to-end solution where he can trace his data from the beginning to the end and really start to make changes faster and also being more productive with the software on top of it. So, there is a lot to do in this industry.
Yeah.
Indeed. And that brings us to the second challenge that we want to look at, and that is all about energy. And it's looking at energy really from two angles. It's the cost of energy and it's the reliable supply of energy, which is critical for safe and efficient operations. And again, if we take Germany as an example, soaring energy prices have posed huge challenges across industries, not just the energy intense. Energy prices in Germany have risen by 50% in 2023 and 2024 versus 2022. And Olivier, what can companies do? What should they do to find ways to really mitigate those challenging environments currently?
Well, look, it's very interesting because if you take a company like Schneider, maybe you don't know, but we were one of the first companies in the world to commit to become net zero more than 10 years ago. And we started to look at CO2 emission and we started to look at energy. And we've applied all our technology on our own company. And what we realized, it's good to become sustainable. It's great to become net zero. But what we realized with my head of supply chain, that there was an opportunity for us in all our industry in the world to generate 5% of cost efficiency on a yearly basis by implementing the right technology. That's why I was saying, in my introduction, the energy transition is so critical, whether you do it for your wallet or the planet, it's your choice. But at the end of the day, there is really a business case for efficiency. And we'll discuss a little bit more on what else you can do. But we have many examples. We have the example of Henkel, who have implemented a certain number of technology, and they are declaring they are achieving 3 to 5% on a yearly basis. You will hear a lot the business case of 2 or 3 years return on investment. That's good, but what is more important is how you can sustain those energy efficiency gain over years. And we have multiple examples, and you can discover that week, that prove that it's really, really possible. And again, it's compatible with your sustainability goals at the same time.
Absolutely. And one other topic that comes up a lot in this context is the increasing drive towards process electrification.
Yeah.
Barbara, maybe you can give us a little bit of more information about that.
Look, if industrial companies really want to become sustainable and resilient, process electrification is a must. And when we look at the reality, still 78% of the processes are not electrified. So there is a huge room where you can really grow in this area. And it's widely acknowledged because electricity is the most efficient use of energy that you can have on the demand side. Now, at Schneider Electric, together with Aveva, we are excellently positioned. So you can start to really design optimization with ETAP, which provides you the electrical twin. And on the other side, we have Aveva 3D with the process twin. And through the iterative process, you get to the layout of your energy management system and process system, which is right and which is efficient. And then we can implement with the equipment on process and also power side, because we have both in-house with energy management and industrial automation. And on top, during the operation, we have the software with Aveva, which allows you over the time to optimize even more, getting more energy saving, having better quality output. So decarbonization through digitization, automation, and in combination with the energy, that's the area where we are very well positioned at Schneider Electric.
Thank you very much. And that brings me to the scenario 3, and staying in the circularity theme and actually looking at traceability, looking at supply chains. Obviously, this is where data and data thread and continuity play a crucial role. Caspar, can you tell us a little bit more? What can companies do who really want to get that level of traceability that consumers and companies are looking for today?
Absolutely. I mean, traceability is all about knowing where your product is in its journey through the supply chain, of course, right? The different components that make up the different fluids that make up the process, the product, and then how it evolves throughout the supply chain. Now, doing that allows you to respond quickly to demand or supply changes, and of course, most importantly, it allows you to recall quickly to protect your brand when things go wrong or when there are issues in the supply chain. Now, when you go through our different offers here, you see a lot of very different softwares and very different data types that are now possible, or where it is now possible, to bring them together in the same platform. Some that are on-prem, some that come from on the on-prem world, like MES, for example, MES data. Some of it that comes from the time series data that SCADA or other systems produce. So basically data that tells you how the machine that produces is faring, and many, many other data sources, right? And we are now able to bring all of this together on Connect, on our platform, to, in an open and agnostic way, integrate that, yet with other data streams that come from even competitive products, and make all of this available for analytics, for predictive analytics, for AI, for our own Microsoft, other partners, Databricks. I mean, the list is growing. And what that gives you is the ability to make, in combination with what Barbara has just explained on the software-defined hardware side, automation side, the ability to make shifts to the supply chain very, very quickly, right? Examples where we've done that, one I like is with FN Dairies. It's in Thailand. They, on average, had to produce 50 reports a day. That allowed them then in a manual way to go through when they had problems to find out what exactly is the issue where. After automating in the way that I've described, they now do the same process in 1 minute, which is a significant productivity gain, clearly. And we've also done it with other partners such as Nestle, you'll be happy to hear. So the fluffiness of the powder, yeah, is the result of an implementation of our SCADA offerings on system platform, and basically creating a lot of reliability in the quality process for Nestle. So these are two examples that I have. Back to you.
Thank you very much. And indeed, traceability is not just a topic for the food and beverage industry. In fact, we're dealing with it ourselves. Olivier, maybe you can shed a little bit light, looking at the products here, how are we achieving traceability?
Sure. And look, if I can give you a little bit of background, I was telling you before that Schneider has committed very early to become a net zero company. It's very interesting. 5 years ago, we published with our research institute what we call the Back to 2050 scenario. At that time, we said, what does it take for the world to be back to that net zero trajectory? And we came to the conclusion with our researcher that a little bit less than half will be on the supply side, how you have access to more clean energy, and a little bit more than half will be related to 3 factors. The first one was energy efficiency, big time. We talked already about it. The second one, which was very, very, very obvious, was process electrification. 5-6 years ago, this concept was, of course, live already in the automotive industry, but you've given example, Barbara, on how it's moving now to industry and to your homes also as well. The third one, which has been very, very, very little explored so far, was circularity. And those 3 pillars, and when they go together, this is the only way at one point of time to generate the efficiency you need to reduce your energy consumption and, of course, to achieve your CO2 emission. And why? And you understand now what Schneider Electric is doing at the end of the day. Why we are so obsessed to combine in our portfolio electrification, automation, and digital through our software capability, data capability, because we believe this is the only way to achieve those 3 objectives, which are, again, energy efficiency, electrification, and circularity. And to come back to your question, the foundation of circularity, and we tested at Schneider Electric, is traceability. Because if you want to look at what is the life cycle of your product from the design to the end of life and how you bring it back in the cycle, it is based on traceability. You cannot do it by chance. And that's why traceability is super important to achieve our circularity objective as a company.
Thank you very much, Olivier. And indeed, going full circle on this part of the engagement, we hope we inspired you to questions.
Yes.
So I would like to open the floor to, of course, everybody who's here in the room with us. If you raise your hand, there are microphones. And indeed, we have one in front here. If you could briefly say your name and your outlet, that would be great. And of course, we'll be taking questions from the online community.
Frank Nolde from Automation Magazine, SBS. So Schneider is known for your energy management and energy efficiency. Do you notice a growing demand for your solutions because of the higher cost of energy? So, or to bring it to another topic, are the higher prices good for your business?
Olivier, maybe.
I would say definitely yes. I said this also last year when you asked me this question. It's very simple. It's the return of investment. You usually calculate with the electricity price. But coming back to the electricity price, I still think in certain countries, specifically Germany, it's too high. It's too high. So if you really want to drive electrification, it has to be on the right level in that sense.
So, but what would be the right level?
I would say on what we have, take Sweden as one of the benchmarks.
Okay.
And in Sweden you can have a lot of renewable energy, green energy, to really make heavy industries. So, and that's the model we should look into. And really have economic models also here in the German market, which allows you to bring electricity to the right level.
Thanks.
If I may add something, just what high prices do, especially in markets that previously were not exposed to them, is they make everybody very aware as to how much you can save and how much really efficiency you can bring to your operations, especially to your industrial operations. And that then creates the aha effect that you go like, I can save that whether the prices are high. I can also save similar percentages when the prices are low. And generally you see an uptake in both digitization and the interest in really looking at how much you spend on energy.
And just to build on the Henkel example, Henkel did this decision to go for this project before the energy prices were high. So they did it before, and when the energy prices went up in Germany, they were benefiting big times on it.
Hello. Thank you for having the press conference.
Thank you.
My name is David Brosel. I'm with the Manufacturing Leadership Council of the U.S. National Association of Manufacturers. Olivier, I would be interested in your assessment of where European manufacturing industry is in its Industry 4.0 journey. Is it as far along as you would have expected it to be in 2025? Is it less so, or is it right at where it should be? What's your assessment of where the companies are? I know that's a complex question, but if you could, in general, give me an idea of where you think the industry is on its maturity curve, so to speak.
Indeed, it's a complex question. Look, I'm French, therefore European by origin. You know, as European, we like always to complain about ourselves, okay? But I can tell you, we can be very proud on where we are. I was telling you, a couple of years ago at Schneider, we've done our research scenario. We've done it 5 years ago. We've done it 10 years ago. And when you look at where we are today, it's days and night compared to where we were 5-10 years ago. When you speak about Industry 4.0, it's a bit indeed a difficult question because it's a very high-level question. But when you look at the way the European industry has embraced technology, again, to solve the problem of their industry, their efficiency, sustainability as well, it's quite impressive. You would have been in a fair like Hannover 5-10 years ago, we would have never discussed about what we are discussing today. The concept of process electrification was just nascent. There was no knowledge in the industry on how to electrify a process. If you look at the impact of digital, because Industry 4.0 was big on digital, but at that point of time, that was just a concept. If you go a little bit more in details and you will speak with Caspar and what you can do in the industrial world, thanks to digital twin, to optimize at the design stage, at the operational stage, at the maintenance stage, everything you do in the industrial world, I think we can be super, super happy and proud on where we are. Now, we can always challenge ourselves. We can always challenge ourselves that we should go to the next level. But from a technology standpoint, I think, number one, the industry has made huge progress. We have much better knowledge. There is a strong combination of electrification, automation, and digital, which was not there a couple of years ago. And again, the implementation has started. They have mentioned a couple of examples of companies who have embraced those technology. We see that everywhere. Now, can we go faster? Of course, we can go faster. But I can tell you, you will see, some of the best business cases that we have in the world in terms of efficiency, many of them, you will find them in Europe. So I think we can be quite proud of what Europe has done on that matter.
Yeah, you have also... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, hold on. There's exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna Arends from Omdia. I have a question. You mentioned that real time is not enough and ecosystem-wide insight are needed. How open do you see the ecosystem players to share their data? And how do you bring them to the point that they see that it is needed?
It depends.
Yeah.
That's the first part of the
Yes,
answer.
yeah.
Now
It
you
varies.
explain why.
I was going to say it varies. Yeah. It does vary. You want me to?
No, please.
It varies quite a lot, right? It varies by industry. You have some industries where this is better understood, right? That traditionally share data, especially when it comes to services and that share data in an automated way, time series data when it comes to services scheduling. I would actually, mention the oil and gas industry is an early adopter, and then you have other extremes, of industries that are still extremely silo-driven and ultimately less competitive. And by their own admission, for example, the maritime industry is one. So you have two extremes, and then most other industries are somewhere in the middle. What can we do about it? The more we jointly with our customers educate on the benefits of ecosystem collaboration, right? Like we try to do in these type of events, the more adoption we will find. Yeah. And ultimately, those companies that do it will outperform the ones that don't. It's normal.
And that's an important point that Caspar is mentioning, because there is enough complexity in the world, in the industry. And we have been at Schneider Electric probably one of the first company to promote open ecosystem. It's true in the field of automation. It's true in the field of software. That's a very strong philosophy that we have in R&D. We want to make sure that all our devices can be connectable, they can be automated, they can be amplified with software, and all of that should be super easy to connect with other industry, with other company. And if you have the time, you go to just behind this wall, you will see the Connect platform, which is developed by Aveva, which has really this concept of very open ecosystem, where we want our customer to come and leverage different software which are easy to integrate together. We believe it's a unique value proposition that we are pushing in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any next question in the audience? If not, I have one here from the stream. Looking at competitiveness, there are big challenges for countries against the backdrop of companies in European markets. What can, beyond what we've said already, what can companies do to drive more competitiveness in their operations in these days? Maybe Barbara, do you want to start?
I think it really starts knowing what you do today. And for this, we have relatively strong consulting services within Schneider Electric. We can consult on sustainability and what you can do more on energy efficiency. We can consult you on process electrification, what is possible there. But we can also consult you on digital transformation services. So what you can do in your manufacturing site, specifically when you're mid-sized, to get more efficient. And what we find out is usually the customers don't know really their data. They don't really know what they're using today, or they have the data and then they don't use it enough. And I think that's the area where I see a lot of potential. And as I was mentioning before, 78% of the processes are still not electrified. To start this now is really, for me, essential mid-long term to be competitive.
Thank you very much. One more question here. We have a microphone. Yes, in the front. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Young Sub Chu from South Korea. I'm a professor at the Seoul National University. And then I'm currently chairman of the Korea Digital Transformation Association. So when Miss Frei visited Korea, we had a very good chance to talk each other, and then we are supposed to cooperate each other in coming months and years. My question is right now, as the Chancellor Scholz emphasized yesterday at the opening ceremony, right now the kind of global free trade is being threatened a lot. So I believe that from the standpoint of the Schneider Electric, you are doing a lot of the global business. So what is your kind of opinion about the impact of this kind of the new phenomenon in terms of your business in the global market?
Look, I don't know if I have an opinion, but I have an answer, which is more important, because when you lead a global company like Schneider Electric, and it's not specific to this year, agility is the answer. So definitely your question is absolutely valid. It makes the life more complicated for goods to be transitioned, to be transited from one geography to another one. But I would say, look, we are not in the business of politics at Schneider Electric. Our best answer is really to be very agile, to be fast, and to develop a very, very, very regional and resilient business at Schneider Electric. We have this multi-hub model at Schneider Electric that we like to speak about it, that we have been built over the past 15 years, where we strongly believe that in a world which is more and more fragmented anyway, it's super important to have more and more regional R&D, regional supply chain with local and regional supplier, and this end-to-end business model help us at the end of the day to be more resilient. So I'm not saying it's not a problem for a company like Schneider. Of course, it creates distraction, I would say, because it takes a lot of time of our people. But the best answer to that is to build a very, very resilient business model, which is more and more regional business model. And that's, look, our best answer to that complicated question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And we are at the top of the hour. To sum it up briefly, essentially, there is no one solution that's going to address the challenges and turn them into opportunities, but we fundamentally believe that there is a combination of factors that bringing them together, from automation, electrification, digitalization, that can really drive that change, that can help companies to be more resilient, be more future ready, be more competitive, be more sustainable, and ultimately help everybody to be better, bolder, and faster. So with that, a big thank you to everybody who's joined us here in the room, everybody who's been joining us online in the live stream, and of course, thank you very much to our panel. And with that, enjoy Hannover Messe 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.